everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I've got a fun project for you today. Did I ever tell you that the first quilt I ever made was a log cabin quilt? And so any take we can do on the log cabin quilt is just really fun for me. So this is a fun quilt. So let's take a look at this quilt behind me. Here's your block right here. The center of our block is a half square triangle with a log cabin side, and it just makes a really fun quilt. There's loads of ways you can set this as well. So to make this quilt, what you're going to need is one roll of 2.5-inch strips, and we have used Amy Butler Soulmate line from Free Spirit, really pretty line. You're going to need a yard of background fabric, and we've used this white, and out of that yard you'll get your half square triangles and the first border. You're also going to need 3/4 yard of a contrasting fabric or a pop fabric. And then you're going to need this outer border out here. This is a 5.5-inch strip, and you're going to need 1.25 yards for that. Oh, the back. Look at this cute back fabric. You're going to need 3 3/4 yards of this backing fabric right here, and this is so cute with these tiny little arrows. Really fun. All right, let me show you how to make this because this is fun. First thing we're going to do is make our half square triangles. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and cut some 10-inch strips, which we're going to subcut into 10-inch squares. We're going to put those with a contrasting fabric. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut up our 10-inch squares of our pop fabric and 10-inch squares of our white. We're going to line them up. We're going to draw a line diagonally both directions. Now I have one here that's done. And so right here you can see I have my line drawn diagonally, and then I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew 1/4 inch on either side away from that line. Then we're going to cut this. This is the method for making the Easy 8, and we're going to cut this and we're going to cut it 4 times, and that's going to give us 8 half square triangles. And so I'm going to come right in here and I'm going to lay my ruler right along the edge because this is a 5-inch ruler and we're dealing with 10-inch squares. So we're cutting halves this way, and then we're going to take our ruler and we're going to do halves this way, like this. And then we're going to cut right on the lines diagonally this way. So there's one cut, and then here's our other cut right here. Line my ruler up on the line and do this. Then what we need to do is we need to press these open and then square them up. So let me look at my ironing board. Let's go to the ironing board here. I'm not looking at it, I'm actually walking to it. And we're going to just iron some of these open like this. I'm going to lay the dark side on the top and set my seam and roll it back. And set my seam and roll it back. Now we really do want these to be the same size, so we're actually going to square them up. And I have a little square up ruler right here. I'm using the block lock ruler. I love it because it has that little groove, and you always make sure that your words are on the background, and you're going to set it on here. And we're looking for a 4.5-inch square. And I don't know if you can see this, but this is the size they come out when you do it with the Easy 8, but we're just dealing with tiny little bits right here, and it just, you know, some of them you won't even have to square up, but you want to make sure that they're the same size because you want your blocks to come out the same size. And this is, whoops, this is going to be the foundation, the beginning of your block. All right, so let me make sure, let me square one more time here, writing to the white. We're going to lay this on here, and this is a 4.5-inch block lock ruler, so we're just going to go along this edge and along this edge. And see, it's just tiny little bits that we're cutting off. All right, now we're going to open up our strip set, and we're going to pull some strips from here. Now the pattern is going to tell you exactly how many pieces to cut and exactly what size to cut them. But when I sew like this, I'm a scrapper, so when I sew, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a strip and I'm going to sew it down the side and cut it off with my scissors and go down the other side. So it all works out the same, but you know, it's just different ways of doing things. So I want to show you right here. You're always going to piece to the colored side, okay? So I'm going to lay this on here. I'm going to trim off my selvage edge right here, and I'm going to lay this on here. and I'm gonna sew this down. Now I know, because I know what size this block is, that that piece right on this side is gonna be a 4.5 inch piece. So you're welcome to cut those if you want. I'm gonna go over here to the sewing machine, and I'm just gonna sew this down here right along this edge. And remember, we're always adding to the color. And so then I'm gonna come right here, and I'm just gonna trim this off. And then I'm gonna fold it back. Now I'm going to add a piece to the other side, and it's going to be a different color. Make sure I have no selvage edge right there. And we're going to add it to this side. And you saw that I finger pressed that back, right? You can iron that back, or you can finger press it. When I do a block like this, I have a little ironing table that I put right by my sewing machine, right over here, so I don't even have to move. I can just iron and sew and iron and sew. Alrighty, now I'm going to trim this off, and I'm going to go over and iron this for real, because I'm ready to put my next edges on. So you see what we've got going on here. Now we're going to add another one on this side, and let's go for this one, a little bit lighter. And then we're going to add another one over here, and we'll go, she has the most fun, just these vibrant, fun colors. And so we're gonna go over, and I'm gonna add this piece on. Again, you know, you add short piece, long piece, short piece, long piece. That's how they go. That's how you build a log cabin. And that's how you build this block. I don't actually know, I've never built a log cabin. I have to say, I would like to live in one. I've stayed in one a couple of times, and they're beautiful. But yeah, no, haven't built a log cabin. But I built lots of quilts with the blocks. All right, again, I've just finger pressed that back, and I'm gonna add this piece to the side. And you can see I didn't clip this exactly right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that I line it up with my long piece and keep my piece going straight, so that I just sew 1/4 inch, and don't pull that out to the edge, because I left a little bit there. And I probably shouldn't have, but basically this is how I sew. And you guys know that. All right, I'm going to trim this off right here. All right, now we're going to iron it back and see what our little block looks like. And this is our block right here. We are done with our first block. And so it goes together really quickly and fast. And so I want to show you some ways to lay this out. Now, the way we've got ours laid out here, what I had to do to lay it out, because I'm a little angly challenged, I have to start in the middle and build out, because you're looking for those fun designs that appear. And so, you know, you can always do this and start it where your color goes in the center. Right here, like this. Now, if you look at my quilt right here behind you, my quilt is done with these to the inside, like this. So you're going to put this on your design wall, and you're going to start with this center section right here. So let's look at this right here. See what's happening right there? And then you fill in with your other blocks. So as you put them in, this is going to come this way now. See how this goes? And you're going to get these corners right here, and it's going to come out, and it's going to come out, and there'll be a diagram for you to follow, but it just makes it really, really fun to look at, because it starts framing up the block. Can you see that? I mean, it's just really, really cool. Let me move this up here a little bit and see if you can see this. And one more over here. And I can't show you the whole thing on my table, because it's not big enough, but you can see here, see how you got this whole centerpiece right here, and then you add them in, and this one, the blocks come together. You know, you're just going to have to look at the diagram and follow it, or make one up of your own. It's really a fun quilt to play with and a fun quilt to make. And let me see what size this is so I can tell you. It's 62 by 78. So it just goes together quick and fun. It's a log cabin around a half square triangle, so it's a great little block. We're calling it Summer Camp because it's not an actual log cabin, but almost. So we hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the Summer Camp quilt from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.